Still recording. Okay. This is now episode 2 of Switzerland's World Cup history. This video is going to focus on the two World Cups in the 1930s that Switzerland played in. That would be the 1934 World Cup in Italy and the 1938 World Cup in France. Now, Switzerland, amongst other nations in Europe, was invited to play in the 1930 World Cup, but they decided to decline. Uruguay was the host for the 1930 World Cup, and like other nations in Europe, because of the journey, they decided to decline. With the next World Cup in 1934 being hosted in Italy, there was a lot less of a travel, but this time around, Switzerland would need to qualify. Now, the qualifying process for the 1934 World Cup, there was 13 different groups, all based on the region that they are in. Europe made up most of the qualifying groups. Some groups had 3 nations in, while others had 2. Switzerland was in Group 6, where they had Romania and Yugoslavia both in their group. Groups of 3 would play each other one time, where groups of 2 would play each other in a home and away basis. Groups of 3 would play one game at home and another game away. So Switzerland's first game was against Yugoslavia, where they drew 2-2. The game took place in Yugoslavia. Switzerland's next game was against Romania, where they drew 2-2. This time around, Switzerland played in Switzerland at the Wankdorf Stadium. Yeah. So with 2 draws, Switzerland finished second in their group. The last game was between Romania and Yugoslavia. Romania won that game and joined Switzerland in qualifying for the second World Cup in 1934, taking place in Italy. Now, the second World Cup in 1934 had no group stage. It was just a knockout competition. Seeded teams, ranked teams, would be drawn against unseeded teams, teams that weren't ranked. Switzerland was amongst those nations that wasn't ranked, so they would have been up against a ranked team. Those nations were Argentina, Brazil, Germany, Italy, who were the hosts, Netherlands, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. Switzerland would run against the Netherlands. So in the round of 16, or the first round, Switzerland went up against Netherlands. Switzerland played their first game against Netherlands at the San Siro in Milan, where they beat Netherlands 3-2. Kilos opened up the scoring for Switzerland, but Smits for the Netherlands was able to equalise. Kilos scored again for Switzerland, taking it to 2-1. Then Abaglin scored his first goal for Switzerland at the World Cup, taking it to 3-1. Vents managed to get a goal to take it to 3-2, but it wasn't enough. Switzerland went on to play in Czechoslovakia in the quarterfinals, where they lost 3-2. Switzerland were leading. Kilos scored his third goal for Switzerland in the 18th minute, but Shevboda scored, making it 1-1, and Shaboka made it 2-1 for Czechoslovakia. But late on in that game, in the 78th minute, Jaggi scored for Switzerland, making it 2-2. But still late drama in the 82nd minute. Ned Ledley scored to secure Czechoslovakia a win, taking them through to the semi-finals and knocking Switzerland out. Czechoslovakia made it to the final where they lost 2-1 to Italy. That was the end of Switzerland's 1934 World Cup campaign. But it was a good showing for them, especially as a unseeded team at the time. And again, they got knocked out by the runners-up of the tournament. Okay, we move on to the 1938 World Cup, which again was hosted by a European nation. This time around, the qualification process had a lot of different rules for different groups. I'll go into a lot more detail when I do a 1938 World Cup qualifying videos. But for now, the group Switzerland was in was a group of just two nations, Switzerland and Portugal. These two would only play each other once at a neutral stadium. They played at the Shivco Arena, Milan, in Italy, where Switzerland was able to beat Portugal 2-1. Switzerland then qualified for their second World Cup in a row. Again, similar to the 1934 World Cup, it was only knockout rounds, so no group stage. A total of 16 nations, just like the last World Cup. Although Austria did withdraw right at the end, so making it 15. The 1938 World Cup would be the last World Cup where there was only knockout rounds. Every World Cup after this had at least one group stage, and in some cases, two group stages. Like the World Cup in 1950, which had two group stages, but had no knockout stages. Okay, 1938. So Switzerland once again was not a seeded team. So the nations that they would have had to have been drawn against would have been Germany, France, Italy, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Cuba, and Brazil. This time around, Switzerland was up against Germany. All right, I've got to mention this. The flag that you see for Germany was the flag that they did use in the 1930s to 1945. This is when they were under Nazi rule. So any nation that did go up against them at the World Cup and Germany themselves, when I do these videos, you'll likely see this flag, at least during the 1934 and 1938 World Cups. So Switzerland were one of those nations that did play Germany during Hitler's time as leader. There are other nations that you would see their flags have changed for whatever reason during the years. Wars, other reasons, etc. In the video I did on France, you could see that Italy's flag has changed as well. All right then, let's get back to the football. So Germany, Switzerland, first round of 16. The first game ended up in a 1-1 draw after extra time. Germany opened up the scoring, but Switzerland was able to equalise. The game went to extra time, but no nation was able to score after that. Now, mentioned in the past, penalty shootouts wasn't a thing till the 1970s, I believe the late 1970s. So games which end in a draw after extra time would be replayed. This time around, Switzerland was able to defeat Germany, beating them 4-2. A Beglin, who scored the equaliser for Switzerland in their draw, was able to score 2 goals to secure Hungary the win. They were down 2-0 though. A goal from Hannemann and an own goal from Yuxcha gave Germany the 2-0 lead, but goals from Walczek and Bickley was able to make the game 2-2, and then Abaglin secured the win, scoring 2 more goals as mentioned, making it 4-2. A quick note, if the game was to go to another draw, I believe a committee would have decided, or the drawing of lots would have seen that nation go through to the next round. That wasn't the case at this World Cup. Switzerland would then go on to play Hungary, where they lost 2-0. Hungary, similar to Czechoslovakia, after beating Switzerland, end up going to the final, but again losing to Italy. So in the World Cups in the 1930s, the two that Switzerland played in, 1934 and 1938, Switzerland was able to reach the quarterfinals in both. Beglin scored a total of 4 goals in 2 World Cups. So yeah, a good showing for Switzerland, I would say. An unseeded team, twice beating a ranked team to reach the quarterfinals. So again, not a bad showing. Alright, that was episode 2 of Switzerland's FIFA World Cup history. The next episodes will focus on the World Cups post World War II, starting in the 1950 World Cup, which Switzerland did qualify for. And of course, the 1954 World Cup, where Switzerland were the hosts. Anyway, I thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And bye.